Let's talk Tanya for the 15th day of the second Adar, Shushan Purim. So, in the last few days, we've been talking about how when we do a mitzvah, we are elevating the world and creating a dir b'tachtonim, creating this home for God over here in this world. And we discussed two levels in that. Level number one is the actual physical object with which we do the mitzvah we're elevating. And included in that level also is the energy of the animal soul, which is expended in the commission of the mitzvah. Level number two, as we spoke about, is anything that I ate or drank, and that gave me energy in doing a mitzvah, studying Torah, that also becomes elevated. But we're still far away from our goal because we have the whole world to elevate, and obviously not all the resources of the world goes into that. So how do we elevate the entire world? The answer to that we're going to start in today's Tanya, but it's going to take us a few days to get to the final answer. The first thing we need to understand, which is what Alter Rebbe tells us in today's Tanya, is that this is not an individual effort, it's a collective effort. It's a collective effort of all the Jewish people, of all the generations. All together, we are creating this dira b'tachtonim, this dwelling place for God through us doing mitzvahs. And the elevation of the entire world is a result of the elevation of all the Jewish people. When all the Jewish people are elevated, we'll find out somehow or other that affects the elevation of the entire world. But the elevation of the entire Jewish nation, that requires the work of every single individual. What is the work of every single individual? So the first thing is, it's the mitzvahs. We know there are 613 mitzvahs and 248 positive mitzvahs, 248 mitzvahs, the dues of the Torah, the things that we're supposed to do, the 365 negative mitzvahs, the 365 prohibitions, and every single Jewish person has to observe those mitzvahs. What is the symbolism behind these numbers? So the 248, they represent the limbs. There are 248 limbs in the body. And as we discussed already earlier in Tanya, a limb draws down the life force, the energy of the soul into it. The same thing, every single time we do a mitzvah, we are drawing down the light of God into ourselves, into the 248 limbs of the animal soul, and elevating the entirety of our animal soul. And there's also the 365 negative mitzvahs, represented by the 365 blood vessels that we have in our body. And the purpose of that is because if we were to do one of those prohibitions, then we are infecting our body with gimel klipas hatmeis, the impure and forbidden klipas, which cannot be elevated. So even if we do mitzvahs, that's not going to help because we've infected our body with the impurity. So in order to elevate every single one of us individually, we need to do 248 positive mitzvahs to elevate the 248 aspects, elements of the animal soul. And we need to also abstain from the 365 negative commandments, thereby remaining pure from being tainted by any of the unelevatable klipa. So every single one of us, when we do that, we elevate ourselves. When all the Jewish people do it together, we collectively elevate the animal soul of all the Jewish people together. How does this lead us to a place of elevating the entire world? We will continue explaining that in tomorrow's Tanya.